Petitions and remonstrances from our council members.
We have none, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. Petitions and remonstrances from the lobby.
We have 5, Mr. President. Mr. Dean Marks, representing Elyria firefighters, and the subject is Fire Department and Safety.
Good evening. Dean Marks, 318 Ashland Avenue. I'm the president of the Elyria Firefighters Local 474. I'd also like to extend my congratulations to the new council and look forward to working with you. We've heard from people talking about 2009 was a tough year. It was absolutely a tough year in the fire department. Just to bring you up to speed again, for even the new council, what exactly happened to the fire department in 2009? We've seen 17 layoffs, 6 retirements, for a reduction of 23 in our manpower. We have 6 personnel currently on disability leave, for a total of 29 people we lost in 2009. Over $2 million were cut out of our personal services alone. We saw demoting of 9 ranking officers' positions. We've seen the permanent closing of station number 2. And for your information, the station, the bureau, the chief were all moved out of that station and moved to station 1, which essentially eliminated our training room at station 1. Now you would think that station 2 is closed, the lights are off, the heat is off, but that is not in fact the case. There happens to be 2 mechanics working out of there for central maintenance, so the bills are still being paid. We've seen the elimination of our minimum manning, the moving of dispatch to 911. This move was supposed to help and put a guy on the truck, but due to the reductions, it did absolutely nothing. We are running with 1 station the majority of the time in the city. Virtually all training has been eliminated. Both the hazmat and dive teams have essentially been disbanded. What does this mean? The officer reductions means there's not enough officers on the vehicles now to staff them properly. We have to pay an additional pay to have people act up in these positions. These at times are not even the same individuals that held the current position. And even one time last year, or just recently, the chief had to stay back and man the car because there were no command officers working that day. We've seen staffing as low as 5 to 6 personnel for the day. We have no fire marshal. Inspections are going, we are not finishing inspections. Reports are falling behind. Civil service, we do not even have a standing list for the assistant chiefs to promote for a fire marshal. We also don't have a standing list to hire firefighters. Yes, we're looking for the SAFER grant. I've worked hard, and many others have worked hard, lobbying in Washington, D.C. to get the SAFER grant here. Representatives Betty Sutton and Sherrod Brown are working hard on our behalf to see that money comes here. It will help tremendously to get us back to where we need to be. But it'll also take some work from council. Currently, the budget we have does not include training. It's virtually eliminated all of our training. In a time when we're running and we're seeing fires and not properly training individuals, we are setting ourselves up for failure. We have essentially created the perfect storm. Why do I say this? Because last year, since the 1980s, we had the largest fire deaths in this city. We saw a drowning in a river that I personally responded to and was not allowed to initially dive due to the fact that training was cut. We saw a 9-year-old girl die at an ice rink of a full arrest, and the fire department did not even respond due to lack of manning. I would hope this is not the way we want our fire department to be run in this city. It is going to take some work from all of us. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys work hard for us and return us to where we need to be so that we don't have fatal fires and emergencies and a loss of a fireman due to the lack of manning. And already this year, on the first day of this year, we had a second alarm fire. It's not going to stop. The calls are not going to stop coming in. We need your support, and I ask for it tonight. Thank you.
Okay, is there anything else to come before this committee?
Yeah,
Mr.
Mr.
Council?
President, Mr.
Yes,
President.
Mayor.
If I may, I think I appreciate Mr. Schilling's comments, and during his remarks, as I think most people in this room would appreciate those comments, that we need, and particularly in these times, we need to be working together constructively. We can disagree, certainly, and have differences of opinion, but we need to do so in a constructive manner. I think would be to the best benefit of our community. I wish I could didn't have to make this this rebuttal, so to speak, but in the form of communication and working together. And we had President Dean Marks make some comments here this evening, and I wish I didn't have to challenge them, but I feel I would be irresponsible not to respond to statements when they're made in such inaccurate and misleading fashion. So Mr. Marks can expect anytime he makes such statements that he's going to have a response from me. Among them, statements that the switch of a dispatcher from dispatch from fire to 911 did not amount to an extra firefighter on apparatus. It absolutely did. We have X number of firefighters that work for the city, and the fact that we were able to have a dispatch done by the county 911 absolutely at every shift puts an extra firefighter on apparatus, without question. As it relates to the tragic deaths, there was the suggestion that if there were more personnel on staff, that those outcomes might have been different. Clearly, they would not have been. Our response times were well within reasonable standards on all of those events, and to bring up such events and suggest that more personnel might have changed the outcome is a horrible thing to do, and should not be allowed to not be checked on that statement. I find it fascinating that the comment about not enough officers. We went through an abolishment process in the fire department this year. We abolished certain positions within, and it created a opportunity where there are acting officers that on a given day will perform the duties of an officer above them. And the unions took an official position aggrieving the fact that when there was a vacancy for the day, that we put a prior officer who was demoted through an abolishment, we put them in that position. And they grieved that, making the point that a senior officer or senior firefighter, just because of their seniority and time spent within the department, was more qualified than a person who actually served in that capacity. So we disagreed with that position. It's still pending an arbitration process, but the unions took an official position that a senior person in the department had plenty ample experience, and he made contrary statements here tonight to that extent. So there will be responses. I hate to have the contentiousness here, but when you're going to hear from a union leader make such statements, you're going to hear a response from me. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mayor.